What's going on? Dr. Gonzo Boogie here again, back for another DVD update video. And in this video I actually have just only a couple things to show you guys. It's the DVDs I picked up over the past week and a half or 2 weeks. And they're all horror related DVDs, so I just thought this would make a nice little horror video. And I also have a couple random things to show at the end. They're actually both soundtracks to horror movies that I recently picked up. So I figured I would show that. Well, one of them's a sci-fi movie and one is a horror classic. So I got two cool soundtracks too over the past couple weeks. But, I'll start out with the DVDs first. And first off here I have Boris Karloff and Targets. And this is a really cool movie. I used to have this when I was a lot younger in high school. I had this on DVD and this is an awesome movie. It's kind of inspired or based on the shooting that happened in the 70s where that guy went up into the clock tower and just started shooting random people off in this field or whatever. I'm actually kind of rusty on the story right now. I can't remember it too well, but I've seen documentaries about it before too. But this is kind of based on that, and this film kind of has that sort of documentary style. This isn't a cheeseball movie or anything. The main character in this movie is this young man who I guess is sort of losing his mind in a sense, and he kind of goes on a shooting spree and starts killing people. And Boris Karloff ends up being stuck in this whole situation somehow. In this movie, Boris Karloff plays an aging horror movie star, so he basically plays himself in this movie, who is thinking about retiring, and he has this last appearance he was going to do at this movie theater, this outside movie theater, whatever you call them, drive-in movie theater. He was at one of those, and he was supposed to do a last appearance, but he decided he didn't want to do it. So some of the plot is about him deciding if he wants to retire or not, and his main reason for retiring is, he says, the true horror in the world around nowadays, people getting shot and killed, is much worse than the movies he's in. So that's kind of sort of one of the points of this movie, I guess. And the movie really focuses though around this guy with the sniper gun there. It's kind of about him. It shows him, spoiler alert, but he sort of at the beginning of this movie you see him with his family and everything, and then he's talking to his sister, telling his sister that he's been having he's actually talking to his wife, who him and his wife live with their mom, and with his mom and his dad. And they just seem to be the perfect American family, but he is mentioning to his wife how he's had some strange thoughts recently, and she doesn't really pay too much attention of it. And the next day he murders his whole family, and then he leaves and he goes on this other shooting spree where he goes on top of this huge tower thing and he starts sniping people on the highway. It's a pretty intense movie. And the conclusion of this movie is the sniper guy ends up going to the drive-in theater and he starts sniping people out in the cars. And Boris Karloff is there, and this is an awesome ending of this movie, sort of cheesy, but Boris Karloff, while this guy is shooting people, Boris Karloff gets out of his car, gets up, walks over to this guy, slaps the gun out of his hand, with just the biggest balls in the world here on Boris Karloff's character, and then he slaps the guy in the face twice, really old school, I'm gonna duel you type slap in the face, and then the dude falls on the ground and starts crying, and then Boris Karloff is that's what I was afraid of, and that's when the movie ends. So it's an interesting movie. Definitely would recommend this one. Boris Karloff, Targets. Alright, next up, this is Hands of the Ripper, and this was pretty good too. This is a Hammer movie, so this is another DVD from my Hammer collection. I'm really pumped to get this. This is one of the new releases from Synapse Films. I think you can also get a Blu-ray DVD combo pack of this, but this is just a separate DVD copy of this. And this was alright. I would have to say not one of my favorite Hammer films. On the back it mentioned that it was one of the more violent Hammer movies, and I've actually seen some Hammer films that are a little bit more violent than this one, like Twins of Evil, so I don't really think it deserves the reputation for being the most violent Hammer movie, but it's definitely pretty violent. And it also said on the back that this is Hammer trying to keep up with the violence of films at this time too. So they're stepping up their violence, I guess. So this is one of their first more gory films, but it is really good. I think this is a good one. Hands of the Ripper. The story about this is kind of a Jack the Ripper story, and I'm a little rusty and I can't remember really good how this went down, but I just remember it had something to do with like Jack the Ripper's daughter. Like somehow his spirit is like making her like continue on his murdering spree. So it's pretty good. A little different. I almost would have liked if Hammer just did a Jack the Ripper story with the actual Jack the Ripper, but either way, this was pretty good. Hammer always does a awesome job. Great stuff. Right, and this is the Roger Corman classic Piranha right here. Definitely sick. I also just watched this recently too. This is a, obvious Jaws ripoff, but this is just a fun film. This is one of those, I love the Roger Corman movies that were coming out in the 70s. Those I think are his best. The 70s is like my favorite time for Roger Corman. And this one is just really fun. Of course, he was only the producer on this, the executive producer. Joe Dante is actually the director on this, and this is really cool. This is the Shout Factory release of this. So I actually got a pretty good collection of these Roger Corman Shout Factories going. I plan to collect as many as I can, as many as I can find. I actually found this one at FYE for like $3-4. So that was brand new, so I thought that was a pretty good price. Piranha, Roger Corman, Joe Dante. And then right here, this is the last for the DVDs, but this is a really cool box set here. I picked this up at FYE for $12.99 used, and this is SS Hell Pack. This comes with some Nazi exploitation movies, and these are also all women in prison movies. So these are pretty hardcore. These are some sleazy Nazi 70s films with, this has got some like, these are definitely not for everybody. But I picked this up just because the price was really good, and then when I checked online for the set and on Amazon.com, it was going brand new for like $100 and used for like $80-90, and I only paid $12 for this, and I got it used, but it was in really good condition. All the discs and cases are mint. So this was a great deal on this, because if I ever did want to get this pack, I would have never been able to, because it's just too much money for me. $90 per pack. And all these DVDs, I would say, are somewhat hard to come by. I mean, there's separate releases of all these movies, but they're kind of pricey, like $20-30 each. So this is definitely a good deal on all these. So this comes with SS Experiment Love Camp, SS Girls, and SS Camp Women's Hell. And so far, I only watched the SS Girls one, which is the one by Bruno Mattei. And that was a crazy movie. Everything you expect from one of these movies. Just sleazy, violent, just is bottom of the barrel exploitation. But it was somewhat fun. But I would have to say these films are basically like straight up porns in a way. So it's just, if you're not really down for that, then these are, not, because I was expecting more of a story or something like that, but just like a shitty porno. The story in these movies are probably like very half-assed and not that good. But other than that, it's a cool set that I'm glad I found for a cheap price with some hard-to-find Nazi exploitation horror on here. So right here, pretty cool pack right here. Show you guys the covers on all these, because these are probably the coolest part of all these. It's the SS Experiment Love Camp cover right there. This is SS Girls, cover for that one right here. And SS Camp Women's Hell, or Women's Hell. Boom, look at that. So that's this pack right here. Pretty cool. Some weird stuff going on here for sure. Alright, so that was it for the DVDs, and I don't have any tapes this week, this time around. I always check the thrift stores for VHS tapes every week, because, some stores I go to you can get them for 25 cents each, and other stores they're $1, so it's always worth checking, but I didn't find anything cool for tapes this time around. So, but I do have a couple cool soundtracks that I picked up. First off here, this is the Dawn of the Dead soundtrack, and this is not the Goblin music. This is actually the other music used in the movie, like the stock music. Like, it has some of the funny mall songs, like some of the really cheesy mall songs, but it also has some really cool stock horror movie soundtrack music on here, because I always liked, if you've seen, there's two different cuts of Dawn of the Dead. There's Dario Argento's Italian cut of the movie, which basically features all goblin music, and it's cut a lot short. It's at a faster pace, that movie, and a lot of the scenes are cut short and stuff like that. And then there's Romero's theatrical cut, which he considers his director's cut of the movie, which features a lot of stock music plus the goblin music. And the stock music is also really good. It has the same feeling and vibe as some of the stock music he used in Night of the Living Dead. So I like that because it kind of makes Dawn of the Dead, feel even closer to Dawn of the Dead because of that, because of those two soundtracks. Dawn of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead, they have similar scores, and that's what I like about them. So this is really cool. Like I said, not the Goblin music. I actually just ordered recently a cool Goblin CD that comes with the Dawn of the Dead soundtrack and the Tenebrae soundtrack, so I'm waiting for that in the mail too. So I'm waiting for some more horror movie soundtracks in the mail right now. When I get that, I'll definitely show it off in the video. But this is really cool, and I would highly recommend this CD if you come across it, because it's not just cheesy, fun mall music. It actually has some interesting, good horror soundtracks on here too, so definitely good stuff. And then last here for the video is I picked up a cassette tape. This is Repo Man, so this is the soundtrack of Repo Man on cassette. And Repo Man is a classic, like, punk rock science fiction movie. It's really cool. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I do have it on DVD, and it's just a really fun movie. It's got, like, aliens and other stuff involved. Definitely just a really fun movie. But the soundtrack is awesome. It features mostly punk rock music. Got some Iggy Pop and Black Flag, the Circle Jerks on here. Just some cool stuff. So I was really glad to come across this. I found this for 50 cents at a thrift store, so I always check out everything when I go to a thrift store, the tapes, the cassettes, because you never know what you'll find, because I was really excited about this when I found it. So alright, that was the update for this week though, and like always, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up or leave a comment, and thanks for watching.